One dot at a time. Join me this evening as we take a journey towards purposeful connections, one dot at a time. We all have connections, right? We have connections to this community, connections to the local grocery store. Heinen's is my preferred place. But that's because I have a connection with Heinen's from childhood. That's where my dad would go buy groceries on Chagrin Boulevard in Shaker Heights, Ohio. I also worked with Nancy Heinen. Everybody knew the Heinens in Ohio. So I have a personal connection, that dot that is Heinen's from my childhood. We also have connections to Sergio's, the pizza place. I'm a Scotch drinker, so I have a connection to Garfield's. We have connections to this library. There are people right here in this room, and I'm standing in front of you because I made a connection with some folks here at the Barrington Area Library. Childhood connections, connections to the community. Connections are neighbors and friends and family. That family connection, mothers, fathers, siblings, brothers, sisters, grandmothers, grandfathers, aunts, uncles, all of those connections are dots that make up our lives. And is there any more precious connection than that of a parent to a child? You see, I have a 9-year-old boy at home. He's really cute. He's smart, inquisitive. He has an awesome personality. Most of the time, he does what I ask him to do, but you know how 9-year-olds can be. He has more Twitter followers than I have, so go figure on that one. And he has his own hashtag on all social media, hashtag Ty Carrington. And I'm certain that there's no one who has a pet that's going to argue whether or not we have a connection. And through this beautiful community that we all live in and share, Barrington, with my puppy, I have made a lot of other connections because we have things like ice cream socials for the dogs, and parades for the dogs, and paint and play for the dogs. So I'm able to make a lot of connections through having my dog. When we're a child and we're connecting the dots, it's easy for an adult to see what the end result is going to be. Like right now, if you connected these dots, you would have an apple. There you go. Dots, when we are children, are relatively easy to connect because someone connects them all for us, right? We're at home. We may go to school, so there are dots that get connected because we have classmates. We have our grandmothers and our grandfathers and our parents, but those are dots that pretty much get connected just because we exist. As children, it doesn't take a lot of effort for us to connect the dots. But then something happens. We become adults. And connecting the dots gets to be a lot more complicated. Because as adults, dots move. We may connect a dot and find out, that's not a dot I want in my life. So we erase it. How many of us have had relationships or connections that we wish we had never made? But that's still there, right? Even when we erase it on the paper and brush off that erasure, we can still see that that dot was connected at some point. So what I invite you to do tonight is understand that when we make purposeful connections, we become better people. Now, how do you make a purposeful connection? Well, there are three things. Number one, engage in conversation. Easy enough, right? Engage in conversation. For some people, that comes naturally. I see you, I'm going to say hi. I'm going to say hi back. How you doing? I'm going to say fine. Engaging in conversation. Some folks, it's a little more difficult. But when we're making a purposeful connection, engaging in conversation requires effort. That means that when we walk into a room and we're a woman, we don't automatically go to the group of all women. If we're a man, we don't automatically go to a group with all men. If we have kids, we don't gravitate towards the group that's talking about baby sharks. We have a concerted effort to engage in conversation with people who look different than we look, think different than we think, worship differently than we worship, care about things that may not be the things that we care about, but because we're engaging in conversation with that person, now we care. Effort in making a purposeful connection means that tonight I make certain that I am going to meet someone new. I'm not going to come out to an event like this without having a purposeful exchange with at least one person. But if I'm going to engage in conversation, that means I've done some homework. I know what's going on in baseball. I know current events. I know and understand that when I reach out to young people and say, you look fleek, that's not the right way to use that word. Because they teach me it's on fleek if you're going to be cool star. Oh, okay. Your eyebrows are on fleek. There you go. Now you got it. See, fleek. Did you know about fleek? See, fleek, right? You see, so if you're engaging with, is fleek a thing?
I don't know anymore.
See, he's young and he can't even keep up. But I'm doing the best I can, right? So fleek was a word when it was a word, and I thought it was still a word. But hey, I'm still cool, right? Okay. So when you engage with young people, you have to engage with them in things that they are interested in. You don't want to talk to young people as if what they enjoy doesn't matter. Because if you're going to make a purposeful connection with a young person, you have to know what do they like, what do they dislike. Don't stick them into a category. Millennials don't do this. Generation X doesn't do that. Don't do that to kids. Because they are all individuals just like we are individuals. They have brains, they think, they speak, and they deserve to be heard. And we as adults are privileged if we seek out purposeful connections with young people and actually achieve that, where you have a connection with a young person. So that's thing number one. You have to engage in conversation. Thing number two, you have to get outside your comfort zone. Remember when I said a purposeful connection includes people who don't look like me, don't think like I think, don't worship like I worship. They don't care about the things I care about. Because if you're seeking to make a purposeful connection, you have to make it with those who aren't like you. And for most of us, that requires effort. Because as adults, we get into something called the rhythm of life. We wake up, we get on the train, in the car, on the boat, on the plane, whatever we do for a commute. We go to work, we work. We come home, we eat, we sleep, we play, we do it again the next day. That's that rhythm of life that you're into as an adult. So if you're going to go outside of your comfort zone to make a purposeful connection, what do you have to do? You have to interrupt that rhythm, right? You may decide that you're going to go out tonight, but guess what? You're not going to go to one of the places that you always go to. You're going to try something new. In Barrington, that means that we get out of Barrington. And we go and we engage in conversation with others. When we do this outside of our comfort zone, we become better people. What is my comfort zone? That's where I feel good. That's where I walk in and I'm in total control. My comfort zone is where I like to be because I'm comfortable. When we step outside of our comfort zone, we should feel uncomfortable. We should feel like we have to listen to the other person. We should feel like we are doing something different. And when we do, and we successfully step outside of our comfort zone, we are introduced to numerous whole new worlds. We may have thoughts and ideas and concepts that we believe very strongly until we meet someone and make a purposeful connection with that person. They can actually help us even as adults. They can help us adjust our thinking and know that that thing that we thought and believed our entire lives may not have been true, just, or right. So now we've engaged in conversation and we've stepped outside of our comfort zone. What is the last step? You have to have a plan. If you're going to make a purposeful connection, planning comes first. So when you choose to go to a different restaurant, when you choose to step outside of your community, when you choose to attend a function like this, you take advantage of being able to read ahead, see who's going to be there, and set a dot goal. What is my dot goal for tonight? Well, I know about 6, 7 people in this room tonight. So my dot goal when I left home was to at least meet, know, and be able to address 3 new people by name. That is how I make purposeful connections. And then I have to plan. When I engage in conversation with that person, I really have to listen so that I can know what their background is, so that I can hear what they're telling me, and I can give back to them something valuable. Let me tell you what dot planning is not. Dot planning is not going into every connected dot to say, what's in it for me? That's not dot planning. If each of us made the choice to live our lives in service to others, we are going to step out, and when we engage in conversation with someone, we are going to want to know what we can do for them. You're going to listen to that person. You're going to learn and understand what they're interested in. And if you make a purposeful connection, you are going to figure out as they are talking, what can I do to help this person? Who's in my Rolodex? Who do I know? Who is in my network? How can I help? Who can I introduce them to? And if you're doing that for me, and I'm doing that for you, what a wonderful world it is. Because now we are both choosing to live our lives through purposeful connections. So one more time, we're going to engage in conversation. We're going to step outside our comfort zone, and we're going to set goals. Those are the things that allow us to make purposeful connections. And as I have invited all of you tonight to join me on this journey, to live your lives with intent and purpose, each of us becomes a better person as we do this. Better people, I become better. We become better. This community of Barrington becomes better. And we start to see a picture emerge as long as we take the time to live our lives one dot at a time. Thank you.